After his powers were exposed to her, the strange little girl looked at him seriously and assumed that Han Feng was also an emissary chosen by the true eye of the evil king. She looked very happy and enthusiastic as she spewed complete nonsense from her mouth, and Han Feng was completely confused. Seeing that the girl's brain was nothing but silly, he decided to go with the flow. He said that he was also a subordinate chosen by the evil boss king, and that was why unusual phenomena sometimes happened around him. Han Feng's fooling is stopped midway because the girl wants to tell him something. She said that since they were both fellow emissaries, then it was only right that they helped out each other. The girl wanted him to share his apartment with her, but this just made Han Feng more confused. As he tried to make her understand that it was weird for such a young girl to stay with an older guy, she quickly bolted out of the room. Han Feng's flaccid hammer was still in his hands as he heard the door slam shut. He hadn't agreed to her request yet, and he didn't get a chance to tell her his mind. He wondered if she really thought that his room was the lair of the evil king, but he decided to forget about it and leave the girl to her crazy fantasies. Han Feng turned his attention back to his hammer and asked himself what the purple light meant. The thought of the power of being able to turn things soft made him quite worried. With that in mind, he realized that the lights that he possessed were more than two kinds. This meant that there were still others that he hadn't discovered, and maybe he was way more overpowered than he thought. As he thought deeply, he remembered that the purple light showed up when he tripped over the cables and almost crashed into the coffee table. This book would have ended so fast, but I guess there were other plans in store for him. He tried to recall how he felt at that moment when he nearly lost his life. His body shook with fear, but suddenly the purple lights appeared around his hands again. He was shocked that he was actually able to activate the ability by recalling that past moment. Almost like he didn't even have faith in himself. The wires in his hands started to become very soft as well, and he realized that the purple light could also affect the cables. Han Feng decided to find out what else he could possibly turn soft with his abilities. He went to his kitchen and picked up a knife there. Then he activated the ability, and the steel swiftly became like jelly. The more he saw what he was capable of, the more he marveled at how his life had changed so much. He tested the blade on himself and highlighted how it had become so much like jelly. Nevertheless, his experiments didn't stop there. He went ahead to try out the purple light on many other items in his house, and he started to understand it better. So far as he knew, the longer he used the purple light on an item, the softer it became. Other than that, there was no other significant change that he had noticed. He played around with a soft spoon and thought about how useless this newfound ability was. His ability to multiply food and regenerate his wounds proved to be a whole lot more useful than just turning things to jelly. After thinking about it for a while, an idea finally came to his head. Han Feng thought about what would happen if he combined the purple light with another one. He proceeded to test it out on the knife and see what the outcome would be. The purple and green lights engulfed the kitchen knife as he yelled out "Bankai." To his great surprise, the jelly-like knife returned back to its original state. It was as if he was holding a brand new blade as he looked at his reflection on the knife. After seeing the outcome of his experiment, he looked over at the box of tissues on his table. While Han Feng trembled greatly, he used the same powers on a piece of tissue paper. Luckily, things turned out well for him. The tissue became as hard as a rock. Then he realized that he could change the toughness of an item by combining the two different lights. With this information, his newfound ability wasn't so useless anymore. Han Feng looked closer at the hardened tissue and said that the toughness was a bit extreme. In that brief moment, another idea popped into his mind, and he figured out how to make use of this power. Meanwhile, the owners who previously came to raid his apartment were on their way back from their raiding journey. As they walked down the stairs, one of them asked his comrade if he was really going to hand over the resources that they stole. The other guy replied by saying that only a ghost would do something as stupid as that. He also said that he didn't have enough resources for himself. If they do split up the resources, they would have to split it with the women and the elderly. They didn't see any justifiable reason to do that, but they had to keep the matter a secret. They would be screwed if someone found out that they were hoarding supplies for just themselves. One of them noticed something weird going on, and he told his partner to turn around and take a look. The guy turned quickly, and they flashed their lights on the wall. The guys noticed that the wall was wriggling, and they found it very weird. As if it were straight out of a classic horror movie, a horrid face slowly emerged on the wall. It looked as if someone was trapped inside as the face slowly pushed itself out. It came very close to one of the thief's faces, and he was frozen and scared on the spot. While they were still trying to understand what was going on, the scary face brought out its arms to grab them. They trembled at the scary creature in front of them and thought it was a ghost. Before the ghost could do anything heinous to them, the guys ran away quickly like little wimps. The ghost looked uncomfortable and was struggling to breathe as it tried to pull out its face. Finally, Han Feng was revealed to be the mastermind behind the scary prank. He had used his abilities to make the wall very soft, and he stuffed his face inside to chase away the owners. His face was finally free, and he said it was very strenuous to apply his ability to the entire wall. After struggling for a bit, he changed the texture of the wall to become very tough and decided to test out how sturdy it was. Using so much energy was making him tired, but he needed to secure his safety in that building. Han Feng then grabbed a sledgehammer and prepared to slam it against the hardened wall. He mustered up his strength and started swinging around like a brute. On the outside, we could see that the blizzard had frozen up the buildings like popsicles. After strenuously trying to break the wall down for a while, Han Feng concluded that the toughness was too extreme. He wasn't even able to scratch the surface of it. Over at the car park, the devilish cold had slowly started to freeze the ceiling and boards there. One of the guys who was stealing resources earlier submitted the few he was willing to give out. He told the collector that many owners were basically all out of food, but he managed to seize the few resources he had. Suddenly, an arm reached out and grabbed his shoulder. He turned to see who it was, but before he was able to, he suddenly got pinned down by a blonde-haired man. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.